Please remain standing for the reading of God's Word. Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. Your protector will not slumber. Behold, the protector of Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is the shade on your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. He will preserve your soul. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. You may be seated.
All right, good morning, good morning. If you haven't gone there, meet me in Psalm 121. I am not Blake. Oh, wow, it's bright. Oh, I see the light. Oh, that's better. That'll help. Thanks. Wow. About to say the plane, boss, the plane. Some of y'all don't get that. I appreciate those that do. Psalm 121, I'm filling in for Blake, and I appreciate this. Here's what we're going to grab from our text. I've been walking this semester through what we call the Ketuvim, or the writings in the Old Testament. Principally, one of those is the book of Psalms. What we see as we walk through the entirety of the Ketuvim, the writing section of the Old Testament, is that life is a valley. Life is a valley. Now, any of us that have ever been to the mountains before, mountains, Gandalf, I long to see mountains. My nerds got that, I appreciate it. Mountains are something that it's just difficult to transverse, right? You struggle to walk on the mountains. The valleys are much easier to walk in, but here's the reality. It's in the valleys that we find trouble. And if life is a valley, we better figure out how to discuss this. This past summer, I took my daddy to the Grand Canyon. And I know some of y'all have been and weren't very impressed. I was horribly impressed. I remember we got off the train. We rode the train that goes around the canyon, and we got off the train, and Dad and I literally just sat on the edge of the canyon, and we said nothing for about 20 minutes. We're just like, this is huge. Pictures do not do it justice. It is 1.5 miles to the bottom. If you slip, you are done. They said it is not a rescue mission, it is a recovery if you go over the edge. Well, as Dad and I were going through the Grand Canyon and we were visiting different spots and we were talking to the different park rangers, that's what they're called. One of the park rangers made a statement that has stuck with me since going. Since 1928, 1,100 people have gone missing in the canyon. 1,100 people have gone missing in the canyon since 1928. I mean, this is such a prolific problem that just between the years of 2018 and 2020, they had to mount 985 rescue missions to find people that got lost. But 1,100 people in total disappeared since 1928 in the canyon. You might be wondering, how come they couldn't find the bodies? Lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. And I mean mountain lions, right? Mountain lions, grizzly bears, bobcats, all kinds of things out there that would love to eat a human body. And so they just make you disappear. That's what life is. And you might be thinking to yourself, I am not stuck in the Grand Canyon. The reality of it is that Peter, in 1 Peter, the author of Hebrews, the chronicler in 2 Chronicles, as well as the psalmist, many of whom wrote the Psalms, they all tell us we are walking through life, journeying. Peter would say we are sojourners on this planet together. If we're sojourning through the valley, as the psalmist is telling us in 121, hear this, let me describe to you the valley in which you live, because you might think you're not. These are all up-to-date statistics now. 24% of Christians say their marriage is about to break. 30% of Christians say that they utilize drugs recreationally daily. 43% of Christians, this is only in America, 43% of Christians say that they are struggling at parenting. Toddlers, I get it. 45% of Christians in America have diagnosed anxiety and depression. How many don't? 60% of Christians admit to actively struggling with doubt about Christianity. 60% of Christians admit to actively viewing and participating in pornography. And 65% of Christians find and declare that they are in financial trouble in America. Interestingly, in regards to the financial one, if you go to a mega church, that percentage jumps from 65 to 90%. 90% of people that go to a mega church admit that they are in dire straits financially. So yeah, we're not in the Grand Canyon, but I don't know about you, that sounds like a valley. Sounds like a mental, emotional, physical struggle. It sounds like this man is in 121 declaring to the Lord, "Where is my help?" And so meet me in our text. There in verse 1, the psalmist says, "I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from?" This world wants us to believe in the midst of the valley of life that we are our own help. Don't believe me? Go to a bookstore if you can find one these days. The self-help section is ginormous. I remember going to bookstores back in the day, such as Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. I don't know if these are even around anymore. We don't have them in Shawnee. You go in there, and the self-help section is gigantic. Look at the principal views that are happening besides, the cute kitty cats playing on the piano. The principal views that are happening on YouTube is self-help videos. This world in the valley tells us that we are in and of ourselves our own help. The psalmist tells us, no, lift your eyes to the hills. See, if you go down to the bottom of that Grand Canyon, it's really strange. Again, those of us that have seen it, you look down in there, it's not just like one valley like this going the whole length of the canyon. No. The Grand Canyon has all these splinters. The Grand Canyon has splinter rivers, just small tributaries. It has these other caves and little things. And so if you're down at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, a mile and a half down from the rim, you literally cannot tell which way to go. The only way to know which way to go in the midst of the bottom of the Grand Canyon is to look up to the top of the hill where the U.S. Park Service has installed lookouts, where there's literally mountaineers and rangers that are up on these lookouts that they'll flash a mirror at you, a spotlight, something along those lines, so that way you can be directed by them which way to go. That is life. If you look to somebody else in this world, hear me, it is the dumb and the blind leading the dumb and the blind. You aren't getting anywhere. There's so many stories of people getting lost in the Grand Canyon and other people saying, "I'll go save them," and they go down there and they lose perspective as well. And instead of just one person dying in the canyon, it ends up being two or more. Look those stories up, they're tragic. So let's have a little bit of fun and talk about mountains. See, it says there in our text, "I lift my eyes to the hills." Let's be very clear. Ask my Hebrew students that are here. It's har harim, the mountains. It's not hills. So Gandalf was right. And so we lift our eyes to the mountains for help. Let's think about mountains through the Bible today. The first mountain of help that comes to my mind is Genesis 8. If you don't remember the story, this is the flood. The waters are over the earth. The flood narrative, Noah and his family, yes? In the midst of a flooded world, keep sending bird after bird out the window, hoping that they come back with some evidence that there's land, and then finally one comes back with a branch, and then the text says, "And behold, the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat." No, we don't know exactly where it is, and no, it's not going to be there still. The second mountain that I think of, which is more apropos, is the mountain called Mount Horeb. Mount Horeb is in Exodus chapter 3. You know this story. Moses has fled from Egypt because he killed an Egyptian. He's now finding himself in Midian, and there in the midst of Midian, he's doing nothing but shepherding a bunch of sheep. And then, behold, the text says, he looked and he saw a bush that was burning but not being consumed. You know where he was? On top of a mountain. It's called Mount Horeb. There, God speaks to Moses and he says, I reveal my name to you, it's Yahweh. Your ancestors didn't know this, but know this, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the God of the covenant. And for 430 years, the children have been in slavery. No more today. You're going back and telling Pharaoh, let my people go. Ugh. Sorry. Songs again. And so he goes back. See, the help that needed to be declared to Noah or to the children of Israel is declared from the top of a mountain. Isaiah and Solomon in Isaiah's book or Solomon's book called Proverbs make it very clear to us that it is Yahweh that is our help, who is in the high place that holds our righteousness. He, with his righteous right hand, lifts us up. You know that one from Proverbs 3, don't you? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not in your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Sorry, KJV is what I memorized growing up. If we're in the valley and we're struggling with all of these percentages of realities and we're to look up, where do we look up? We don't know which mountain was Mount Ararat. And sadly, we don't know which mountain is Mount Horeb either. Let me take you to the New Testament, to a mountain that you can look to for help. Hear this, Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4, toward the end of it, right before Jesus starts preaching in Matthew chapter 5, he says, And Jesus sojourned throughout all of Galilee, teaching in synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom of God, healing all peoples of all various kinds of diseases and afflictions. And people continued to follow him and bring to him sick, afflicted of various diseases and pains and oppression by demons and mental struggles and seizures and paracletes, and Jesus healed them. You know where he heals them, y'all? It's called the Mount of Beatitudes on the northern shores of the Sea of Galilee. It's beautiful. And there, Jesus sat down and he healed people. People had been abandoned by the Jewish temple. They should have gone to the temple to be healed. They should have gone to the temple for provision, and yet the broken Sadducee system cared not for them. And so they remembered the psalmist. Where does my help come from? It comes from the Lord in the hills. What hill did they go to? They go to the mountain called Beatitudes. It's still there today. It's on a Google map if you want to look it up. Another text, Matthew 15. Jesus is chilling on some unnamed mountain. And it says there, And behold, the great crowds came to him, and they brought with them the lame, the blind, the cripple, the mute, the deaf, and many others. And Jesus put his hands on them and healed them, and the people wondered. If you need healing and help, go to the mountain. If you need emotional help, go to the mountain. If you need social help, go to the mountain. If you need spiritual help, go to the mountain. If you need financial help, go to the mountain. If you need marriage help, go to the mountain. If you need addiction help, hear me, go to the mountain. Quit looking at yourself in the valley because you can't get out on your own accord. The author of Hebrews puts it this way in Hebrews 4. Let us with confidence draw near to the throne of God so that we might receive mercy and help. You know where the throne of God is, everybody? On top of a mountain. The Old Testament's Jerusalem. In the New Testament, go see Revelation 21:22. He reigns from the temple, which is on top of Mount Moriah. Thought one of this struggle in our lives is look for help in the mountains. Thought, meet me in verse 2. Here we go. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Who made heaven and earth. See, one of the problems that we end up running into if you're stuck in a valley is you can only think of your identity as being lost. Anybody that's, Blake was talking about Palmer last week telling him, Daddy, we're lost, right? But the reality of it is if you're in the valley, especially if the night sets and the sun has gone down and you're out in the midst of that Grand Canyon, I'm going to tell you right now, you lost. There is no, I'm going to just climb out of here. You're walking in the valley of the shadow of death. If there's a shadow in the valley, you can't find your own way out. And so you look and you declare to people, here's my new identity, lost. The reality of looking at the mountain is no longer should your identity be lost, but your identity should be found in the keeper of the mountain. Hear this. He created the world. He created you. So don't you think you should look to the mountain to find out who he wants you to be? N.T. Wright lovingly so put it, Jesus didn't come to tell us who we are supposed to be, but rather he came to do something about it and then tell us who we're supposed to be. You have to first look at Mount Calvary, a mountain, you hear that? You have to first look at Mount Calvary to then find your identity in Christ. Places that I think of where people in the Old Testament found identity on a mountain. Let's go to Mount Moriah. Abram, I want you to take your only beloved son, walk him up the mountain and kill him. Stab him. Father, behold the wood. Father, behold the fire. Father, where's that lamb? Abram binds up his son. In obedience is going to strike him dead. Angel catches him and says, good. You're obedient. That very mountain, Abram says, the mountain should be called Jehovah Jireh. And I say it that way because we have many great gospel songs that articulate that. He names it, God will provide. Future tense, not past tense. It's on that mountain that we see Ruth redeemed by Boaz. It's on that mountain that David finds victory over the Canaanites. It's on that mountain that Solomon builds the temple. It's on that mountain that Jesus walks in and he declares, all this has been fulfilled today in your hearing. The blind shall see, the dumb shall speak, the deaf shall hear, the lame shall walk, and it is now fulfilled today. And they got really upset about that. Why? Because he is viewing himself as the one on the mountain healing people. Identity shifted in every instance. Another identity shift would be over at Mount Sinai, Exodus 19. Moses goes up the mountain. The people of Israel are there on the base, and he comes back with the 10 Commandments. Comes back with the 10 Commandments, and I say that their identity was changed. No longer slaves of Egypt, but now servants of Yahweh. I think you understand now why. Let's go back to the Mount of Beatitudes on the north shores of Galilee, that Jesus walks to the top of that mountain, and he says, you have heard it said, but I say to you. He is literally adding to the law of Moses, superseding the identity that Moses gave them on Sinai. Jesus now says, your identity is blessed. That's your identity, not lost, blessed. Blessed are you when, fill in the blank. 9 different types of blessings. Go read it. That's your homework, Matthew 5. Blessed are you when these things happen to you. And so if you feel lost because you're in the valley, go to the mountain and find your identity. You're not lost. If you're in Jesus, you're blessed. If you feel unsure of your identity, don't do so. Go to the mountain and see who the Lord declares you to be. If you feel pressured in identity, don't. Go to the mountain and find it freely given to you. This particular point is quite personal to me. Being a kid of mixed heritage, of mixed worlds, of multilinguicity, I've never once felt that I belonged in a church. I look around, I'm always the only fill in the blank. If I'm at an Asian church, I'm the only somewhat white kid. If I'm at a Hispanic church, I'm the only somewhat Asian kid. If I go to a French church, well, I actually prefer Spanish over French. I never felt that I belonged. In fact, it was the second book that I wrote on how the gospel helps us know our identity. It wasn't resolved for me as to who I was in Christ. Though I had been walking with Jesus for decades, it wasn't until grad school whenever I sat down with my mentor who's now in glory, Dr. Ken Easley, he said, "You know what your problem is, Mario?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "You're letting the world dictate your identity instead of the gospel." Because the punchline to every one of those Beatitudes is, "For theirs is the kingdom of heaven." He said, "You're trying to find an identity on this earth," and that's what we talk about, chavel, vapor, smoke. Identity should be found in Jesus. Go with me then. How do we know this, Mario? 2 Corinthians 5, "Therefore, if anybody's in Christ, hear this, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." My identity that I struggled with because I was in the valley and felt lost, I look to the cross and I hear this, "No longer are you lost, you are now blessed." No longer not a people, now called God's people. That struggle that still sits in the forefront of my mind daily as to who I am in this world is defeated by the cross. Galatians 2. "I've been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who now lives within me. In the life that I now live in the flesh, I no longer live for myself, but I live for the Son of God who gave his life for me." Friends, this world, this life is a valley. And if you don't hear Jesus saying, "Blessed," you will think lost. You're not lost, friends, if you're in Christ. Though in the midst of the valley, you're in his hand. And all of us Baptist kids say, perseverance of the saints. He's got me in his hand. There's nothing this world can do to take me out. Thought 1, look to the mountains for your help. Thought 2, look for the mountains for your identities. Thought 3, meet me in verse 3. Here we go. "And he will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you does not slumber." I really hate that I have to sleep, but I mean that. I'm a workaholic. It's not a good thing. But it's a good thing that God does not sleep. He's the ranger on the cliff, ever looking for those that are lost in the valley. He never tucks in and goes to sleep on his cot for a couple hours and has to switch out on fire watch. No. He's ever there. Hear this. Look to the mountains not only for your help, look to the mountains not only for your identity, but look to the mountains for your sustenance. Fancy 25-cent word if you want to impress your hostess today at the restaurant. Hear this. When we're walking through the valleys of life, this world will tell you their God can supply what you need. That's the problem that we're seeing here. He's going to keep you. Don't worry. He's got you. He's got his eye on you from up above. He's going to airdrop in what you need. My God supplies all your needs according to the riches and glory, right? That's what Paul's channeling here, y'all. Paul was a good Jewish boy. He knew this passage. He's going to airdrop in what you need. But the problem is when we're in the midst of the valley and the people in the valley say, "Hey, I got this great thing. This will help you out. This will supply you. This will sustain you." Number one reason that people die in the literal Grand Canyon is heart attack. Because they themselves have been working so hard and they're panicked about trying to get out. Number one reason people die in the Grand Canyon. Number two reason that people die in the Grand Canyon is lack of substance. There's nothing edible in the Grand Canyon unless you shoot it, of course. There's no vegetation easily found. There's no potatoes. Boil them, mash them, put them in a stew. No. There's no carrots, no nothing down there. They die of sustenance, lack thereof. If I think about some mountains, Mount Carmel comes to mind in the Old Testament. That's just on the northern shores today of, I just went blank here. Not Gaza, but anyway. It's on the Mediterranean. Mount Carmel's still there. I think about Mount Carmel in 1 Kings 18. Been a drought for a long time if you go read the text. People are dying because there's no water. Elijah and Elisha go up the mountain. They start praying to God. God, Lord, listen. Your people are dying. There's no water. Mount Carmel quite literally can see the Mediterranean, but the problem with the Mediterranean is it's salty water. You can't drink it. So, Lord, we're dying. We need substance. And then it's on that mountain that the Lord pours forth rain. Isaiah prophesied about this, Isaiah 25. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will make for all the peoples a feast of rich food. And see, now we understand why, two different times on two different mountains, Jesus summits the mountain with a whole crowd, and what is the miracle that he does? He gives them food. Number one reason people die in the valleys is because they don't look to the mountain for substance. Jesus goes up the mountain, breaks it, and he hands it to them. And while he's doing this, you hear people thinking about one of those Beatitudes. Blessed are you who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. It's on the mountain that you go in order to find the food. There's nothing in the valley that you can eat, y'all. I've been to the Grand Canyon. Ain't a darn thing there. Look to the mountains for food. Jesus provides this beautiful picture, and then as he's breaking it, we can see a parallel a little bit later on in Matthew 11 with the other provision. He says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I shall give you rest." It's not just physical sustenance that he gives us. He gives us rest from the pursuit of trying to get out of the valley. Number one way people die in the in the Grand Canyon is heart attack, trying to save themselves. God says, no. Come to me. So if you're in need of deliverance, look to the mountain. If you're in need of energy, look to the mountain. If you're in need of some food, look to the mountain. If you're in need of some spiritual hope, look to the mountain. Don't let this world lie to you and say that they have what you need. That is but what we call chavel, vanity. Thought number, whatever we're on. 4. Meet me in verse 4. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. And this word keep pops up over there in 3, 4, 5. It continues on. So keep. Why is the word keep so necessary? Because keep in this instance is actually preservation. See, Psalm 121 is seated at the beginning of what we call the Pilgrim Psalms. They go from 120 to 134. 15 Psalms are called Pilgrim Psalms. They would quite literally read these and sing these and teach these to their kids as they were traveling from home to the temple every Sabbath or on high holy days. And so the reason that this one culminates with keeping is because along the path going from Galilee down to Jerusalem, well, there's a whole bunch of robbers. You know this via the story of the Good Samaritan. A man who was traveling to Jerusalem fell among thieves, says the KJV. Yeah, extremely common. And so these poor kids being drugged by their mom and daddy to church, not that that ever happens to any of us. These poor kids dragging, behind their mom and dad going to church going, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. The text wraps up by saying, know this, he will keep you, just like the Good Shepherd. The psalm that comes to mind to back this up, of course, is the Shepherd's Psalm. If anybody says, I don't like King James, I dare you, find one translation you like better for this psalm. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff are with me, and they comfort me. Hear this, friends. Life is a valley, and you need somebody to guard you and keep you through it. I think about the realities of mountains in the Old Testament again, fulfilling this keeping. A text that's been on my mind, and I shared it with our trustees the other day, is Deuteronomy 34. Moses goes up to the top of a mountain called Mount Nebo. It overlooks Jericho still to this day. Moses goes up to the top of Mount Nebo, and there, the only time Moses does not debate and argue with God, he sits there, and then it says, and the Lord let him die. It's a very morbid text, it sounds like, but when we read it, Moses finally realized it's in the mountain place that provision is given. It's in the mountain place that the Lord dwells. It's in the mountain place that he will keep him forever. We see this being declared about Mount Zion, another one of the two major mountains in Jerusalem. It's Mount Zion in Psalm 35. Oh, salvation for Israel comes from out of Zion. When God restores the fortunes of his people, let Jacob rejoice, let Israel be glad, for it is salvation in Zion. We see also another great depiction again. We could probably think it's from Carmel with Elisha. 2 Kings 6, Elisha goes up the mountain with his servants, and the servants think that they're about to die because of the Baal worshipers were going to kill them. And Elisha tells his servant, open your eyes and look to the mountain. Elisha there, the servant, of Elisha in 2 Kings 6, opens his eyes and looks at the mountain, and behold, it says, he sees myriads of myriads. I don't know how much that is in KJV, but a lot. He sees a lot of people. And the people that he sees is the army of the Lord, who would keep them ultimately. Elijah and Elisha didn't die at the hands of the prophets of Baal, because God had them in his hand. Go then now, you understand why Jesus, on another mountain in the New Testament called the Mount of Ascension, where Jesus ascends to heaven. This is the place that he tells the disciples, know this, do not fear, for I am with you. Of course, the book of Acts opens up and we see the disciples still looking upward, and the messengers of God, the angels come and they're like, what y'all looking at? We're waiting for our keeper. Fear not, he will come back in the same way that you saw him go to heaven. The mighty keeper of all. Jesus also likewise, on another mountain that we keep our eyes on, goes to the Mount of Olives. It's a beautiful mountain. I'd love to take you. Sitting on top of the Mount of Olives in the Garden of Gethsemane, there's still olive trees that are as old as Jesus is, 2,000 plus years old on the Mount of Olives. There on the Mount of Olives, the Lord, our Lord, retreats there and he prays to the Father, God, let this cup pass. If not, your will be done. Of course, he then goes into the Via Dolorosa, the way of sorrow, the week of sorrow, and he suffers and he dies. But oh, one day, as the good old preacher used to say, Revelation tells us he's going to come back again to Mount of Olives, split that sucker in half, and walk through that eastern gate and declare victory, and the Lord is not. Friends, do you feel alone? Do you feel lost? Do you worry about your salvation? Gosh, I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep me. Gosh, Lord, I don't know in this turmoil of elections and finances and things that sort. I just don't know. Will you be able to keep me? Lord, I'm working 3 part-time jobs and they don't even meet. They just wave at each other. Can you keep me? Lord, I've been walking this road through the valley. I feel unaccomplished. I've been stepping for a long time. I ain't got nowhere yet. Can you keep me? Philippians 4, the Apostle Paul, channeling this text, I believe, says it this way: do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Who's up on the mountain? I interject. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Hear this. The valley wants you to look down. The gospel calls you to look up. Song I grew up singing. Let's see if some of the senior saints can sing it with me. Years I spent in vanity and pride, caring not my Lord was crucified. Knowing not it was for me he died on Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free. Pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty on Calvary. I was doing a funeral about 9 years ago. Great senior saint, and the family asked that I share the funeral responsibilities with a Presbyterian minister. This is not a shot at all Presbyterians, but it is at this one particular guy. He was walking into the church that I was pastoring because we were going to do the funeral, and he's looking around, and he goes, y'all got that celebration hymnal? I'm like, yeah, I love that hymnal. Okay, hymnal is something that's bound, and it's got songs in it that the saints used to sing together at certain times throughout the year. Okay. I kind of feel like I have to do that with, phone books, too, whenever I talk about that. A phone book is a book that was bound, and it had, y'all get it. So this guy's walking in, Presbyterian minister, and he goes, y'all got the celebration hymnal? I don't like that hymnal. I went, okay, all right. Why don't you like that hymnal? Because he used the word that in particular. Why don't you like that hymnal? And he said, it's got too many songs about Calvary and blood in it. I smiled and I said, it's not without Calvary and blood that you know salvation. We need to sing more about Calvary and blood because it is there I look my eyes to the hill. Where does my help come from? It's in the cross of Jesus Christ, y'all. For those that didn't know the hymn, last week we sang another song. The lyrics are simply this: I cast my mind to Calvary, where Jesus bled and died for me. I see his wounds, his hands, his feet, and my Savior on that cursed tree. In the chorus. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Praise his name forevermore, for endless days we shall sing your praise. O Lord our God. Lift your hands. Pray with me. So, Father God, a simple text preserved for thousands of years, theologically rich and deep. God, the statistics tell us that we're all in the valley struggling. May the psalmist resonate in our hearts and our minds to lift our eyes to the hills because you are our helper. You are the one that tells us our identity. You are the one that sustains us, and praise the Lord. You are our keeper regardless of this darn valley we are in now. Lord, as we respond to this text, I want you to call people to the mountain for one of those things. This isn't just a cry and a call for the lost, but it's a cry and a call for the beloved. Holy Spirit, woo us. Move us. As I pray today. Friends, we're about to partake in communion, and I want you to think about communion, how we're about to